Hi students, today I'm going to show you how to make an apple crumble. You will be given a recipe online by Miss Nash and you need to weigh out the ingredients accurately. So you'll have 100 grams of plain flour, 50 grams of margarine, 50 grams of oats, and it says 2 apples. The reason why it says 2 apples is if you had made this at school, you would have worked with a partner and it's 1 apple each. And you would have made it in one of these small containers, which therefore you take 1 apple crumble each, so it's 1 apple in each dish. But I'm going to make it in the next size up, which is this one, and you can do the same at home, a little pie dish. You need to preheat the oven, which I've done, at 190 or gas mark 5, and we need to first peel and prepare the apples, because we're going to stew them for a little bit so they're softened. So you need a peeler and a knife, chopping board, and I've got a little tissue on the side so I can just throw away my rubbish as I'm going. This apple is quite a medium-sized apple. It's not very big and it's not small. Some of the apples in the shops are quite small. So get your peeler and from the top of the apple just go down on the apple. Right, this one's a little bit bruised and I only bought them this morning, but yeah, but we'll use them, it's okay, it's not off. So peel them all, peel the skin off. It doesn't take long with this peeler. Ask an adult to watch you while you're doing this. Okay, get rid of any of the top of the apple. Now, obviously the reason why I've got the tissue there is I can just slide all this along there. Now I've already got 1 apple cut into the saucepan, so it shortens the video. But yes, right, the bridge and claw. How to cut your apple. That's the bridge. Hold the apple, the knife underneath, and cut in half, like so. So you've got 2 apples. Then you want to put them flat. You don't want to cut them like this because they roll about. You want to cut the apple while they're flat. Again, bridge and claw, cut them in a quarter. Okay, get rid of any pips. Okay, now this bit is the little bit of a tricky bit. So the core is there. You do not hold the apple in your hand and cut like this because you can cut yourself. You don't want to do that. Lie it flat, knife in the hand, and just glide the knife on the core. There you go, the core's there and that goes to one side. Chop any ends to one side, any more fat, chop it there. If there's a little bit skin left, it doesn't matter. Cut the apple finely, like so. Okay, pick up the apple and put it into the saucepan. The saucepan has got about 2 tablespoons of water. That's when we need a little bit of steam when we're going to saute our apples. Again, the same side. If you want to get rid of that little bit of the skin, you can do. Hold the claw, you're holding the apple down flat, and you do this. Glide down into the pan and do all your apples like so. Okay, there are different types of apples out there. You get, this is a Gala apple. You get all sorts of apples. You get some which are really tangy, like the Granny Smith apples. The Bramley apples, which are cooking apples, they're very tart. They're very bitter and tangy. And by using those, you'll end up putting too much sugar in your crumble, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to add too much sugar into our crumble because we're getting the sweetness from this apple. We're getting a nice texture and the sweetness from the apple. So there goes in the apples. I'm going to put this on a heat so it starts to simmer a little bit. I'm going to add in some sugar. It does say 25 grams of sugar in the recipe, but I'm only going to put half of that in because I'm going to save a little bit to put on the top of my crumble. And I'm using brown sugar. So a bit of brown sugar goes in there. That's probably about 15 grams that's just gone in there. Give it a little stir and wait for that to simmer. Right, our next stage is now doing the crumble that's going to go on top of the apples. So let's get all this out to one side. Your bowl of flour, Okay, in goes your 15 grams of margarine. I have cut these in smaller pieces. You can, it's unsalted butter or margarine. What you have in the fridge is fine. So now what we're going to do with this, we're going to incorporate the margarine into the flour. The function of the flour is the actual structure of anything you make. So when you're making biscuits, the flour is the structure of the biscuits. Bread, flour is the structure of the biscuits. Again, the structure of the crumble is going to be your flour, and the function of the margarine is it changes the colour. So now you see it's white, it will go a little bit pale yellow later on. And also it adds some flavour, the butter, and a little bit crunch to whatever you make. So now I'm going to rub in, this is called the rubbing in method. You get your fingertips and you're rubbing in that margarine into the flour. I think you can hear the apple crumble sizzling there. Can you hear it? Yeah, it will smell nice in a minute. So right, you carry on until you get some breadcrumbs. You don't rub it in your palms, you just do it through your fingertips, and I'm lifting it up and I'm sort of aerating it at the same time. So some air's going in while I'm flickering it through my fingers back into the bowl. Okay, I will show you that in a minute. There's many ways of making apple crumble, but this is our basic way for school. It's very easy, it's quick, it doesn't take long. But once you've made this apple crumble, you can try other textures and other flavours. You can try different fruits if you like. You can add a pear in the apple. But for now, we're just doing the apple crumble, so you're just learning the basics. Okay, you can lift it up and just rub that into your fingertips like that. Okay, now to know that the margarine has cooperated into the flour, what you do is you just shake the bowl a little bit, and if you can see, you get little bigger bits that come onto the top. So you just need to break those down, and then I think you're really done there. Okay, just rub that in a bit more. Okay, at this stage, in goes the oats, and I'm not going to add any sugar at this stage because I'm going to add it on top. So I'm not going to add it into the flour because then I think it's too much sugar. I think on top maybe it gives a little bit of a texture on top. Okay, my apple, the actual crumble is done. So I'll leave that to one side, and now we're going to go on to the apple itself here. It's sizzling, so I'm going to put the heat up a little bit more so it softens. Now, if you leave an apple out too long, it tends to go brown. And that's going to be a question Miss Nash will ask you, why it's going to go brown, why it goes brown. Okay, I have my dish over here. You need a baking tray, so your dish will go on the baking tray. If you don't have these foil containers at home, then try to ask an older member of the family if you've got a oven-proof dish, not so big. This sort of takeaway size is fine. Okay, I don't want to mash my apples too much because it is going to go in the oven for 20 minutes, so that should be fine. Just give it a bit. We leave the water in there to steam up a little bit. Okay, at this stage I'm going to add in some cinnamon. Again, if you want to add in the raisins, you can. If you want to add a little bit of cinnamon, you can. But both of them together won't really go, one or the other. Raisins and cinnamon, I'm not sure, but apples and cinnamon go well together. Give that a good stir. Once that's stirred, we're going to place it into our dish. Okay, flatten the apples out a little bit. Okay, and now we can get a spoon and put the crumble on top. Okay, we don't want to flatten the crumble because it's the whole idea it's called a crumble because you want that crumble texture. So you put the crumble on top, don't press it down like a biscuit because it doesn't look very appetizing. Like this, it's bumpety and it will give you the colour on top with the way the apple crumble lay out. So I'm just spreading it, I'm not flattening it out. So I think that's enough. I've got that left over, I don't need it. Now on top of this, I'm going to add some brown sugar because I like to have that little bit of a crisp coating on top. So a little bit of brown sugar on top. And bake that in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. And I will show you a picture at the end what it should look like. Thank you. I hope you enjoy making this crumble and see you soon.